my name is Ren Krieger. I use they, them pronouns, and theater is the most important thing in my life. Through high school, I have really found my home on and behind the stage at my local theater. For me, directing, it almost feels like you get to play every single role. You get to get into the minds of every single character, and you get to just create every single moment and plan where every single person should be feeling something. Sets, for me, are also very important. They can set moods, they give context, they give time period, and sometimes they can even become characters themselves. I just really love thinking and creating and just puzzle piecing little details in to make a beautiful piece of art. Because I am a queer person, LGBTQ+ rights and telling queer stories is very important to me when it comes to both theater and just life in general. For the past school year, I have been helping to bring back the GSA Club to my high school, which has gotten shut down over quarantine, and it has now become this beautiful space where people can meet people like them and feel like they're finally understood. A large part of my identity is my gender. I have such interesting thoughts about my gender. I haven't figured it out yet, and honestly, I don't think that I have to. But I love the art of playing with gender in theater, whether it's through drag. I love drag. Unique casting choices. I myself am a assigned female at birth person playing a male role currently who uses the they, them pronouns. And I just love the incorporation of gender in theater. I think that telling stories about gender queerness are so important to not just other queer people, but to everyone, to kind of normalize this thing that a lot of people don't accept or maybe don't really understand. A large part of many queer people's identities is found family, and I can happily say that I've experienced this, and I feel like through theater I have created one big found family of people who both love the same things as me and people who are like me and understand me, and for that I am so grateful, and I hope that I will be able to build that going on both in college and for the rest of my life. Throughout my time in high school, the drama club has been going through a significant change. One of the most unstable things has been the adult in charge of stage crew who was supposed to be working with me and guiding me as stage head to build the set and start teaching the younger kids skills. So last fall, we had a production of Peter and the Starcatcher. Our set was very bare bones, and it was supposed to be kind of minimalistic, but we, meaning me and the adult in charge, had agreed that we were going to use 2 vivid, bright colors for the island, which is supposed to be fantastical, it's Neverland, and 2 kind of woody, muted colors to be the pirate ship where majority of Act 1 takes place on. So when I saw the paint, the 2 vivids were fine, the green and the purple. However, the maroon that we were going for one of our more earthy colors was salmon, because our teacher bought one of the mixes at Home Depot instead of getting the exact color. So I go up to him and I said, "This is pink. We already have a bright purple, we already have a bright green. We need something to ground it more because this isn't entirely Neverland. We have to remember that Act 1 is entirely on a pirate ship." And so he said, basically, "It's fine. It'll be fine. It's a good color, it mixes." And I was not having that. So I went back up to him and I said, "Hey, the fact that we have so many whimsical colors really clashes with the kind of mood that we're trying to set. And it also clashes with the kind of minimalist, bare bones look we're going for. And if we were doing that intentionally, that would be great, but that is not what we are trying to do. And so I said, we need to come up with a solution that will satisfy both of us. And he said, yeah, I agree. Thank you for coming back to me. And so what we ended up doing is that we took a dry brush and we painted over it with like a maroonish brown, and we dry brushed it on with like a woody texture, and it ended up looking so much better. I think in this position, the situation, what I did well is communicating what I was feeling while also remaining respectful, but also giving reasons behind what I was saying and just talking in a more adult, mature way. Also, it is a little bit hard for me to stand up against adults. I'm very much a rule follower. So it was definitely a real challenge, but I care about the integrity of how things look, and I care about a lot of things. Some things a little bit too much, but I care about how that set looked, and I wanted to make sure that we were showing something that we could be proud of. And once we made the change, which I thought was pretty good because wood naturally has the light and the dark of the rim colors. So I think that it ended up really well. Hadestown on Broadway is probably my favorite set to look at. My first thing is that I love the walls and how they open up at the end of Act 1, and these just extremely bright and warm lights are just blinding the audience, and it really brings them into the experience of the characters. Talking about light, the swinging lights in Wait For Me, I love that they're not automated. I love that it's the ensemble doing them, and I think it's so beautiful because it feels like people are creating their own story. They're creating their own atmosphere, and I think that's so cool. The turntables that they have, especially the part that can go up and down in the middle, it allows for such like creative choreography, and it's also really helpful for like the actual descent into Hadestown, and it's such like a smart piece to have. I also adore how the orchestra is in the set itself. Like they're almost kind of its own character. And like I mentioned before, I love it when sets kind of feel like they're their own character living and breathing within the show. And lastly, I love how the different mirrors between Orpheus and Hades, they have opposite voice types, and the contrast between Persephone's grit and Eurydice's just pure voice, I could talk about Hadestown forever. I love the artistic choices, and I love how everything is thought out. And one day I hope to create something that I can be this passionate about.